Hello, so today, new huge review of new game Pax Dei. After well of 20 hours of playtime between EA and the pre-alpha releases, I feel the need to leave a review simply because I want this game to succeed and be great, and I believe my feedback might be useful, so we will see. First of all, I blast through the positives. The game is gorgeous, with a very diverse set of area design and terrains to explore. Here are some caveats to its role. The game needs better optimization, and there is what seems to be a built-in motion blur effect, like being able to see a trail being left behind a weapon swing. This should obviously be gotten rid of. I also wish there would be other easy paths or down a mountain instead or just one of two. There are many circumstances where you have to heavily sidetrack to a different side of mountain if you aren't able to parkour up it. I personally spent the first 4 days of release just building my clan's base. The building process is very nice, and it is well designed and allowed a player to build some very cool homes, castles, villages with it. Not everything building related is perfect, so in my opinion, some particular building pieces take too much resources, especially when you consider when it takes to get some of the materials like bricks and shingles. I also think there is a lack of angel pieces when it comes to triangular flooring and foundation and wood beam angles. And getting things to snap correctly to what you want built can be a massive pain, especially when trying to be creative with angled beams. Crafting initially started out as very grindy during the alpha test, and the devs have made a significant improvements when it comes to material requirements for items that are crafted purely for leveling purposes. The kicker is that it can take 30-50 crafts to gain one level in profession. I don't think it's a very good design to have to throw the mass majority of things you craft onto the ground, because storing the items is pointless even if you had enough storage. I would strongly support the items that are more expensive to make rewarding significantly more experience to cut through the monotony of just crafting the cheapest. When it comes to gathering, I don't have a problem with how anything is farmed until later into your character's progression. For one, is the undeniable how nerfing the high drops from deer without offering an alternative to what the player base lost in a massive setback when it comes to leatherwork in progression. Instead of Bale able to farm higher quality hides, just by hunting we have to farm bear spawns. These bears are currently almost impossible to kill without use of a barrier or elevated rock or tree because they have too much health and deal too much damage. This is going to be a time. There are bears, a lot of chance of dropping the high quality heavy hides, and yes, a low chance. Or you can try to your luck with strong wolf boar packs that can drop with a smaller hides on this quality, and also have a low drop chance. These packs you also need some kind of barrier of separate them with your bow. This bottleneck has halted my clan's blacksmithing crafters because those gear pieces require materials that need the high quality height to make and the higher leatherworking skill to level to make them. I also believe that nowhere nodes should have the chance of picks only rewarding basic rocks is really dumb design decision, especially when you can mine a wool node and only end up with rocks. This especially should not happen under any circumstances when it comes to pure iron or when mining the player is probably in the PvP zone. And one other grip, I don't like how it takes 2 hours for a large furnace to produce 10 steel ingots of 20 ore or twist charcoal. Either make it an hour and lower to the charcoal or have it turned to 40 ore into 20 ingots and keep the charcoal the same. Since I decided to get very detailed with that, I see these improvements in the positives of the games, the negatives are going to get even in depth. But these things, I believe, need to be said for this good of game's future. Alright, it's that time to talk about combat. I'm not going to beat the poor combat to death system because the devs already knows it's a pure state, so bringing it up to pointless. What I'm currently more considered about in the insult to injury the game brings when it comes to having an interact the very poor combat. So in my opinion, a game should either have a good combat and difficult enemies, or decent combat and easy enemies. Pax Dei says and has terrible combat with very difficult enemies without cheesing. And someone with blade gear, I should not have chopped down a tree so I can use it as a barrier to kill a bear or wolf pack for reasons already explained. While the infected corrupted mobs are technically further down the line character progression, I can confidently say it's impossible to kill them as well. Also, the drop rates of the items, especially from the mentioned infected corpse, are far too low. Difficulty is also a factor zone for Zabian NPCs, but less so. Still annoying though. My point is, the game is in combat anyway, shape or form worth having such strong enemies. Please turn down the hills of damage of these mobs in the open world so they are actually possible to kill with the core combat in place until it gets drastically improved. Group with content in dungeons exacerbates every single unpolished aspect of the game. First, overall terrible combat. Lag when multiple players are fighting, very weird collision with friends and enemies, difficult to get to and hit special enemies quickly, absurd enemy AI that social pulls everything in every direction randomly